The snow fell in thick sheets across the frozen wasteland of Calyx 7, a planet where survival meant understanding the language of tooth and claw. Sergeant Kira Voss stood motionless in the center of a widening circle, her breath crystallizing in the sub-zero air. Around her, the Vralken pack moved with predatory grace. 12 massive creatures, each standing nearly 3 meters tall, their obsidian fur rippling over corded muscle, their eyes gleaming like amber embers in the twilight. They had been hunting together for 6 months. The pack circled slowly, their movements synchronized, a living noose of fang and fury. Kira's rifle hung useless at her side, its power cell drained 2 hours ago during the ambush that had separated her from her unit. Her armor was scored with plasma burns, one shoulder pauldron missing entirely. Her blood stained the snow at her feet, but she did not run. Running was prey behavior, and the Vralken did not tolerate prey in their pack. The pack leader, Therax, a scarred patriarch with one torn ear, approached first. His massive head lowered, nostrils flaring as he scented the air. Behind him, the others watched with predatory intensity, their hackles raised, their claws scoring the ice. Kira had seen this behavior before, the pack determining whether a wounded member was still strong enough to survive, or whether mercy came in the form of swift teeth. Her hand moved slowly to her belt, fingers closing around a small device. Not a weapon, she had none left. It was a translator, battered and barely functional, its screen cracked but still glowing faintly. She had used it to learn their language, spent countless nights by their fires, listening to the growls and snarls that carried meaning deeper than any human tongue. "I stand," Kira said in their language, her voice rough but clear. The translator chirped, converting her words into the guttural harmonics of the Vralken. "I hunt, I protect. I am pack." Therax's ears flicked forward. Uncertain. The circle tightened. A smaller shape pushed through the outer ring. Ren, barely half-grown, his fur still bearing the softer texture of youth. He had been the first to accept her, the first to share his kill, the first to sleep with his back against hers during the brutal nights. The pack had watched this strange alliance with suspicion, but Ren had been insistent, and the young often saw truths that age had forgotten. The cub moved to Kira's side, his shoulder pressing against her leg. He looked up at Therax, then at the others, his voice high but unwavering. "Do we shield you now?" he asked in the pack tongue, directing his question not to the elders, but to Kira herself. The question hung in the frozen air like a blade. It was a ritual phrase, Kira realized, the words spoken when a pack member fell in battle. When the choice between death and salvation balanced on the edge of loyalty, the pack would shield the wounded, defend them against all threats, but only if the wounded had proven worthy, only if they had earned the right to be carried when they could no longer walk. Kira's vision blurred at the edges, blood loss making her thoughts swim. She thought of her unit scattered or dead. She thought of the mission parameters: infiltrate Calyx 7, gather intelligence on the indigenous apex predators, assess their potential as allies or threats to human expansion. She had become something else entirely, something the bureaucrats back on Earth would never understand. She had become pack. "I have hunted beside you," Kira said, her voice stronger now, fed by something beyond mere survival instinct. "I have shared meat. I have watched your young. I have drawn blood to protect this pack." She pulled her hand from her belt, revealing not the translator but a crude necklace, fangs and claws given to her by each member, tokens of acceptance earned through months of proving herself. "I am Vralken. I am yours." Therax's growl rumbled like distant thunder. The pack tensed. Then slowly, deliberately, the pack leader lowered his head and touched his muzzle to Kira's outstretched hand. The gesture rippled through the pack, recognition, acceptance, approval. One by one, the others approached, each touching her with nose or paw, their body heat a wall against the killing cold. Ren's tail wagged once, a gesture of pure joy rarely seen in the species. "We shield you now," he announced to the pack, his voice carrying the weight of ancient ritual. "She is wounded, pack. We carry her home." What happened next would be recorded in both human and Vralken history, though the accounts would differ in detail but not in spirit. The pack formed a living shelter around Kira, their bodies blocking the wind, their warmth sustaining her through the night. When the rescue team finally located her 3 days later, they found something unprecedented. a human soldier sleeping in a den carved from ice and stone, surrounded by creatures that should have torn her apart, but instead had chosen to protect her. The xenobiologists would debate the implications for years. The military strategists would see tactical applications. The politicians would see opportunities for alliance. But Kira Voss understood a simpler truth, one that transcended species and civilizations. Humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons or their technology. It was their ability to look at another living being, no matter how alien, no matter how dangerous, and see not an enemy, but a brother, a sister, a pack. As the rescue shuttle lifted off, Kira looked down at the Vralken gathered below, their howls echoing across the frozen plains. Ren stood at the front, his young voice the loudest of all, calling farewell to the strange two-legged hunter who had taught his pack that family was not defined by blood or species, but by the willingness to stand together when the world turned cold and dark. In her hand, she clutched the necklace of fangs and claws. She would return. The pack was waiting, and humanity, in all its stubborn, foolish, beautiful determination, had just proven once again why they belonged among the stars, not as conquerors, but as family to those brave enough to accept them. The Vralken had learned what countless other species would eventually discover. When you shield a human, you gain not just an ally but a guardian who would burn the universe itself before allowing harm to come to their pack.